Concerns this morning about the southern border after a warning that tens of thousands more migrants are heading through Central America to the U.S. ABC's Julia McFarland is in our London bureau now with that story. Julia, good morning.
Good morning to you, Gio. That's right, migrant crossings reached a 21-year record back in July when authorities at the border said they made more than 210,000 stops or arrests. Now, fears that number could reach almost twice as high if COVID restrictions were to be lifted this month. Now, that may no longer be the case. An appeals court has ruled that the Biden administration can continue to expel migrant families under Title 42. That is a Trump-era COVID policy, and that has been responsible for blocking most migrants from crossing into the United States for nearly 2 years on the basis of protecting the U.S. from COVID. Those fears of another huge migrant surge spiked earlier this week amid warnings from the Panama foreign minister, claiming in a meeting that as many as 60,000, mostly Haitian migrants, are making their way north to the U.S.-Mexico border. She has been calling on the U.S. to help enforce a plan. Now, the Biden administration has been taking heat in recent weeks for those shocking images of border officers seen on horseback trying to marshal migrants along the Rio Grande riverbank, and for carrying out dozens of deportation flights last week, taking thousands of migrants back to Haiti, to the fury of activists and the ACLU, who have been filing lawsuits against those Title 42 expulsions. Whit?
All right, Julia, thank you. A lot to dig into here. Let's bring in ABC's chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl, who'll be hosting This Week later on this morning. John, it's great to see you in the studio.
Great to be here.
Plenty to discuss. So let's start with those negotiations on Capitol Hill. We thought there was going to be a vote on Thursday. Then we thought, oh, maybe it's on Friday. Then President Biden comes out and says, hey, if it's 6 weeks, we'll take that if needed. Do we have any real sense at this point on when we could see a vote on both of these measures?
Well, the problem that Biden has right now is not time. I mean, this deadline of Thursday was really an artificial deadline in many ways, self-imposed. The problem is votes. He doesn't have the votes to pass this full agenda. You have the two Democratic holdouts in the Senate, Senator Manchin, Senator Sinema. But, you know, even in the House, there's a group of moderates that says, let's pass this smaller but still very large infrastructure bill and then consider whether the bigger bill, the so-called social infrastructure bill, is too big. So Biden's got a problem. And what's fascinating here, Whit, is it's all Democrats. It's Democrats battling Democrats.
And you were talking about this because the White House and other Democratic leaders have tried to downplay this infighting between the progressive and the moderate Democrats. But we know, as you said, that, you know, this has created a major rift within the party. Does this have a real possibility of upending or derailing President Biden's agenda here? Oh,
Absolutely. Both his policy agenda and his political outlook going forward, going into the midterms. Remember, he's trying to do all this, an incredibly bold agenda that ranks up there with FDR and the New Deal, LBJ and the Great Society. He's trying to do it with the narrowest majority that you could possibly have. 50-50 in the Senate with a tie-breaking vote by the vice president, 3-seat majority in the House. When Obama passed Obamacare, you know what? 34 Democrats voted no. But he had a huge majority in the House and was able to pass it anyway. He had a big majority in the Senate. That is not the case now. So, yes, the Biden agenda is very much in the balance here.
Major challenges, and we'll wait for news on that in this coming week, that's for sure. I do want to go back to those concerns at the border. Reports that as many as 60,000 Haitian migrants are now moving through Central America towards the U.S. We saw what happened in Texas just a few weeks ago. The Biden administration faced heavy criticism for that. Do we get any sense that they have a plan for this next surge?
It's unclear if they really do have a plan. There is a very interesting thing happening this week. Secretary Mayorkas, Attorney General Garland, Secretary Blinken are all going to Mexico. You can be sure this is going to be at the top of the agenda there. But here's the other issue, and you heard it mentioned in the previous report, the Title 42, which allows them to turn back, the United States to turn back migrants because of the COVID situation and keep them from entering the United States and declaring asylum. That's being fought over in court, and what the administration is warning is that if that gets overturned and that restriction goes away, you could see a surge much bigger. They're saying as much as 400,000 coming to the border.
Wow.
And it's unclear what the plan is to deal with all of that.
And many of these Haitian migrants were leaving Central America and South America because of the pandemic and the poverty and losing their jobs and everything.
I mean, they're fleeing horrible conditions.
Absolutely. John Carl, thank you so much. Big show this morning. Of course, stay tuned. A reminder, he will have a lot to go to here, one-on-one with Senator Bernie Sanders, and a key progressive at the center of that divide that's jeopardized the Biden agenda. Plus, Dr. Anthony Fauci discusses that breakthrough new antiviral COVID-19 pill and what it could mean in the fight against the pandemic. That's all coming up on This Week right here on ABC. John, thanks again.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.